Welcome back to the show. Let's go to line number 3. Good morning, Kelly. You're on the air.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm doing okay, thank you. How about you?
I've been better. The reason why I'm calling is because of the Roman Catholic Cemetery in Port East. I had a bench at my father's grave for years, and I came home last year to find it was thrown away. So I went around to inquire about it, and they said, we're not having anything in the graveyard anymore. You're not allowed to put nothing down. Mulch, nothing on the graves. We want to keep the graves mowed, grass, nice. I said, I understand that, but there's parts in the graveyard where grass don't grow. It's kind of like a marshy type, a grass, whatever you want to call it. So I came home again this year to find everything was stripped off my father's grave, not just my father's grave, but everybody else's grave that had solar lights on it, flowers, plaques, anything that was on the ground on the grave. You come home this year, the graveyard is scraped clean. And I went around to find out what's going on, and come to find out there's 2 men that runs the cemetery. It's Dennis Burke and Colin Burke. And these 2 men took upon themselves to strip everybody's grave of anything that their loved ones had placed there for memory of them, to let people know they're still thinking of them. And these 2 men wrote rules out and letters stating that everything is going to be stripped off the grave. Now, I'm coming across all kinds of people now that saying, oh, my God, they can't believe what's going on. And I'm saying, I've been through this for a couple of years now, because for a while it seemed they were only attacking my father's grave. But this year they let loose, and they decided to take everything off everybody's grave. And not only are they doing that, I had a lady saying that, they're not allowed to have a ride on lawnmower to run over the graves. I said, my love, you should see them down here. I said, I'm down here daily. They're with equipment, tractors, running over my father's grave like it's a path to get to where they're working, when there's a road in the graveyard that goes around and you can access the graves from this road. But they're not doing that. They're running straight over people's graves. No respect for the dead whatsoever.
Doesn't sound like it. Can we just go back to the beginning for a second? So What is it that you're not allowed to, I don't know what the right word is, beautify or to tend to or to upkeep your own father's grave or anywhere else in the gravesite? Like, what is that about?
It's about, they don't want anything on the grave. They don't want mulch. They don't want rocks. They don't want borders around the graveyard. Like one man, he passed away a couple of years ago, Glenn McCann. And from what I heard, because I've been moved away for 27 years, but come home every year, what I heard, that man had done so much for the community. He had equipment. He would help out anybody that needed it. So his family done this beautiful grave site for him with the concrete border, beautiful pea stone rock inside, and there was a bench. I came home last week, and only 2 days ago, I had taken pictures when I came home because I couldn't believe of all the ground just thrown on the graves and kind of scratched out. His grave was so beautiful. Now it just looks like a mud pit because they got so much dirt scattered all over the grave and beyond to cover up his, I guess, just the grave itself, how they had designed it. And it's appalling. Like, I got pictures and I asked people to post them on Facebook. Like, it's going beyond what anyone should ever do to a graveyard. The Port graveyard was never run down. If they had problem cutting grass, I would say look for a new person to cut grass. That's not going to be disrespecting the graveyard. And allow people to have their night lights and to do what they want. I mean, I know I come down every year to do up my father's grave, and I know there's many other people that come here, and it's attending to the graves all year round. And now to come down to the graveyard and just seeing dirt scattered all over the place, it looks like it's an abandoned graveyard, like something you would find in a town that was resettled. And it's shocking. And I don't understand how 2 men on a committee can override the whole community when the graveyard, I was told, it don't belong to the church, it don't belong to this committee, it belongs to the people of Port. So I don't understand how we can have someone come in and disrespect all the graves like they've been doing the past couple of years, and now taking it to full tilt of just taking everything off and leaving the graves bare. Like, I don't get it. Are they jealous that people love their deceased ones? Are they jealous people are putting money into a grave? Like, what is the issue? Because now the graveyard looks worse than what it ever did in all the years that it's been here.
Yeah, I can't understand any rationale, but I mean, you just think about it. Some people pay constant attention to the grave sites, and there's always, fresh flowers, and the grass is mown, and the weeds are hauled, and the like. But then you see the flurry of activity just prior to things like the cemetery masses, because people want to be respectful of their loved ones' grave sites. They want them not to look like they've been abandoned and people have been forgotten about, or they couldn't care less. People do indeed take, I don't know what the right word is here, pride in their loved ones' graves. And why wouldn't you?
I do. Exactly.
Yeah, I don't know. That's a strange story.
It is a very strange story, and I thought I would let people know what's going on, because it seems like I'm battling uphill and not being able to find the right people to complain to, and then discovering all this information that it's only these two guys that are doing it. And I mean, you couldn't find Dennis Burke. I mean, he came across my father's graveyard last year. And he was yelling, stop the work, because I was pouring just an area where I could place a chair, because you can't really put a chair on grass and sit on it without sinking down some. So I thought if I poured a little pad of concrete, I could put a chair on it, because he wouldn't allow me to have a bench. I come home, and the only thing that was left on his grave was dirt. They took everything off of it. Flowers that grew back every year, because I wanted his grave to look like it was being taken care of. And I don't like plastic flowers, so I planted a live pansy flower that would blossom and come back every year, last all summer long. Gone.
And I'm sorry to hear this.
Yeah, and I'm left with the committee over at the church saying, we don't want anybody down there doing anything to the graves. We want it left empty. And they're pretty proud of that. And I don't get off where people are harassing the dead. I don't understand.
I don't either. It's a particularly strange story. And I'm pretty sure that I wouldn't cooperate with anyone who told me that I can't go down to Portugal Cove, where Nan and Pop and Uncle Steve are buried, and take care of their graves, or out to Riverhead, or anywhere else that we have loved ones buried. If someone told me that I can't do something in a graveyard, I'm pretty sure I ignore that person in full. And if I found them ripping up or tossing aside the compost or the new grass seed or anything else that I put there, I'd be absolutely furious, and I don't know how I'd act physically, but I know how I'd act vocally. Anything else you'd like to add, Kelly, before I have to go?
Well, this morning I'm going to go up to the courthouse and see if I can file papers to take some kind of action, because this got to stop. Like, it's unreal for a few people to think they own the graveyard and to choose what's best for everybody else. And now they just got everybody up in arms, upset of what they done. And they're so cold-hearted about it. It's stunning. It's just so stunning how they react to it. Like, they just don't care. And it seems like it makes them upset that people are going into the graveyard and paying attention to their loved ones that have passed, which I don't get it. They'd much rather if no one showed up to this graveyard at all. That would be their best scenario, that everyone would just stay away from the graveyard so they could do whatever they want with it.
I appreciate the time, Kelly, as upsetting as the story is.
Yes, I know. I just want to let everybody know, because I'm not sure how many people do know, and I'm not on Facebook, so I thought the best way to do was call your line and let people know that way.
And I'm glad you did. Thanks for the time.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Take good care.
Have a good day. You too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Welcome back to the show. Let's go. Line number 3. May, you're on the air.
Hi, Paddy.
Hiya.
I would like to speak about the graveyard over in Port-au-Port Peninsula.
Sure.
The same thing happened here in Grand Falls, Windsor, a couple of years back at the St. Joseph Cemetery in Windsor. My father and mother-in-law got buried there, and we had 2 cedar trees, one on each side of the header, and it wasn't causing any trouble. the cedar trees are small. They don't have any root mass. They just go on the bottom of the ground, the top of the ground, more or less. Mm-hmm. We were told, we were told to take the trees down. We had them there for 20-some odd years, and so we were hesitant first. We went to the church, and we went to the bishop and whatever, and nothing to do with it. It had to do with the St. Joseph Cemetery Committee. So that was okay. We went there, and apparently they were having a meeting into the Immaculate Conception, which we didn't go to that church. We went to St. Joseph's in Windsor. We didn't know anything about it. But in the short term, we took down the cedar trees. Wouldn't very much mass. We were told that it was going to ruin the caskets in the ground because the root mass would be so deep, which wasn't so. And we took the trees down, my husband and I, and we were told after, my sister and I was told after, that we could have like a burning bush there, small burning bush on each side, which would fill up the bareness. And I'm telling you, the grave was beautiful. Really beautiful. We really kept it up since they died. Not only ours, but several ones in the graveyard. Same thing happened. They had the eternal flame removed from their graves and put in a dumpster. This little boy, his mom had died. He wrote a letter, put it on her headstone, and that was taken and thrown in the dumpster. All the things, like, it's different if the trees and the little flowers were all plastic and they were blowing around or something like that. Yes, clean it up and throw it away. Put down new stuff. But we were told to take the trees down, which wasn't hurting anybody, and we took them down. Then we went and got the burning bushes, put them there. When we went back the weekend after, they were took down. We weren't allowed to have them there. So it's just one thing after the other. So now it looks like a war zone up there.
I don't get it.
Not only our graves, but several other graves in the church. They were all taken, and everything was taken off of them. And so people just don't want to put anything back there anymore.
Apparently the same thing is happening out in Stephenville. I've heard from, I don't know, I'm going to say half a dozen people since that telephone call with that lady earlier about Port East, and saying what's happening in my family's graveyard too. I must be missing something, because there's got to be some connection between these different graveyards, and I guess for different congregations, different faiths, different parts of the province, there must be some connection with these types of decisions. It makes zero sense to me. I am going to have a quick spin down around the family graveyard down in Portugal Cove this weekend, just to see if there's any sort of change down there as well, because this sounds like it's very callous and cold.
Yeah, it hurts a lot, because like everybody takes grief in a different manner. My father and mother-in-law, they died in 3 months and 2 days apart, which the grief for the family was unreal. So like our solace was go to the graveyard. And like you can't see them, but you know that they're there. It's a little bit of peace of mind for you. And like it's just, I don't know what they're doing. It's like, and we were taking care of our grave and several other ones that we knew, like the older ones there. And I mean, the cemetery committee, like, they were cutting grass and doing a good job. But when all this came about, you had to take down the trees. Like, it's different if you're not allowed to plant any more trees after the fact. But why desecrate a grave because of these laws or whatever they're making? And it's not only for everybody, it's for some, certain ones. There's a couple up our graveyard now, like just down from my mother and father-in-law. They got the burning bush there. They weren't made to take it down. And there's like little things all around, different things, but we were made to take ours down, which wasn't an eyesore, I must say. And my husband kept it up, and my daughter and sons, they all kept up their nan and pop's grave and whatever. And like it's heartening that when you go to your grave to visit your family, and you can't, like, everything is gone. Like, we got 2 pots of flowers up there now, but heaven forbid if they ever touched them. You know, and it makes it so comfortable, and it's just different. Like when you got everything taken off the graves and all made away with, it's just like a war zone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
you know,
terrible.
There's no need of it. I don't think. Like, it's different if people weren't keeping up their graves, but little ones want to go and put a flower on their nan's grave or whatever. You know, and it means a lot to people. You know, and the grief is so hard. Like, when you're losing your loved one, it's bad enough. But when you go up and you see all this stuff taken off your grave, and you know. And those little cedar trees we had, like my husband kept them trimmed, and they weren't big. Like they're only about, I'd say, about 2.5, 3 feet tall, and we kept them trimmed all the time, and everything was done so nicely. And I don't know. And even this other lady, my friend, she lives right next to the cemetery, and her husband died. It was only him and her, no children, and she had an eternal flame there. She'd look at it at night time and say, "Good night, lovey." She can't, you know, like, and she was made to take. Well, she wasn't made to take it off. They took it off and made it away with it. So she wouldn't mind going and getting it and putting it back. But like we said, like, grief is hard. Mm-hmm. And when you got to go and face something like this, it's unreal. And this was a couple of years ago now. This happened to us. But that's it. But, like, and nobody taking the blame for it. Go to the priest. No, they don't have nothing to do with it. It's the cemetery committee. No, they can't do it. Go to the bishop. Went to the bishop. He didn't have nothing to do with it. I don't know.
I'm sorry to hear it's happening, but I appreciate you sharing the story and your time this morning, May.
You're welcome.
You take good care of yourself.
Yeah, and you as well. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
What is going on there? Obviously, I'm missing something here.